when you look from the sustainability side to it, there's kind of two different buckets that I look at with it. Is it, good for the environment? Is it good for your business? There's business sustainability and there's environmental sustainability. And the nice thing about our business is we believe it checks both boxes with it. We can do this at a cost level that people can get access to it. It's not, it's not some premium that we're charging with it. We can be competitive with traditional field growers, but we also do it in a methodology that shaves a lot off of the natural resources that are used. We use about 85% less water than traditional farming. As a comment was made earlier, lettuce is made of water, so the less we use in it, the better off we are.
You're listening to America's Healthiest City on Mike King Biz Radio Network on ESPN Richmond 106.1 and Choice 105.3. Welcome to America's Healthiest City. I'm your host, Will Melton. If you are new to the program, please visit americashealthiestcity.com to find out about our 10-year community partnership to make Richmond, the entire region, the healthiest in America by 2033. You can submit your ideas to our ideas board. You can leave comments on others' ideas. You can also apply to become an ambassador if you represent a business, a nonprofit, a government agency, or an academic institution who's interested in seeing things change in our community. So today on the program, we have Carl Gupton from Greenswell Growers, and we're super excited to talk about greenhouse grown today and right in our backyard. So Carl, without further ado, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining us. Thank you for offering your time and some insights into modern farming technology. I'm really excited to hear about this. I start out this program with everybody, just a little bit of context about you. Are you a native to this region, or did you find yourself?
I grew up in Virginia. I was born and raised in Virginia Beach and moved to Richmond when I was 17. Had the culture shock of a lifetime. I moved from about a block off the beach to Midlothian, Virginia, and haven't looked back. I've stayed in Richmond. I went to school at Randolph-Macon up in Ashland, so I've stayed kind of in the greater metro Richmond since then, since 17. I haven't looked back. I claim both as my home, depending on how the story works.
Okay. And you still visit Virginia Beach?
Yeah, my parents still have a place down there, so we go back on a fairly regular basis. So I get the best of both worlds. I get the river city here, and I get the beach city in the summertime.
Yeah, and I imagine you can go grab your greens right off the shelf down at Virginia Beach too.
It's very true. You can grab them here in Richmond. You can grab them in Virginia Beach, right outside of Sandbridge. They have both a Food Lion and a Harris Teeter that has both of our products, or has all three of our products sitting on the shelf there.
Great. Well, we'll get into that in a little bit. I want to start off by kind of going into your background a little bit. I know Randolph-Macon, VCU. Yep. Tell us a little bit about your education background. Why did you choose the path you did? And
sure.
And what got you to where you are today?
So I'll go from kind of my high school side to it. I went to two high schools. I went to Kellam High School in Virginia Beach and Midlothian High School here in Richmond, both big schools. I realized that I was not the best student in the world. My parents will validate that, but I needed I'll say that little bit of extra attention. I needed to be, I guess, a big fish in a small pond. And Randolph-Macon was a perfect fit for me. It was a liberal arts education, so I got a little bit of everything. Kind of found my passion in business and economics, really found a connection with economics. So I got a degree in business and economics from there. Went to worked for my grandfather in the packaging business for a couple of years. We sold that business to another group. I went to work for them. At that point, I realized that I kind of wanted more in my life, and went back to grad school at VCU, part of the MBA program over there. It was a perfect fit, kind of a crazy point in my life. We had our first child, and I decided to go back to grad school on top of that, and then I was traveling 3 to 4 days a week for work. So it was wild.
But it all worked out.
All works out in the end, doesn't it? Doesn't feel like it in the moment.
Well, I was told we'd have a lot in common. I also wasn't a good student. I did not get even the bachelor's degree, though, so that's where we diverge.
That's fine.
But the attention span is a challenge for
yes.
me. But the creative side of it has been enjoyable. So,
yeah.
So you get into let's tell us what interested you in growing produce.
Sure. So I ran a food packaging company here in Richmond, Polig Packaging. Back in the day, we'd sold that business to an investment group, went to work for the investment group, had fun. We grew the business, but I realized kind of during that time that I really wanted to do something different. I wanted to start something from scratch. I'd taken a lot of like small to medium business and grew them into large businesses. And I hadn't really done that from the startup side to it. I got a text from one of my good friends who owns Hardywood Brewery here, or Hardywood Craft Brewery here in town. And Eric called me and said, some guy just toured our facility. He's going to build, in his version, a lettuce factory, which we will never refer to it in our business as that. And I said, well, that's kind of crazy. I know nothing about this, so I want to hear this guy out. Chuck walked me through the business model. Our three founders came at it from really a neat solution, realized our business is a derivative off of Feed More, our local food bank. Doug Pick is one of our founders. He's president and CEO. Doug wanted to get more fresh produce out to the underserved community. I think at that time he was doing about 25% of his product that he was giving out was fresh produce. The other 75% were canned goods. Well, in canned goods, there is a meal in there, but the problem is it's high in sodium or high in sugars. Well, what are the problems in those underserved communities? Heart disease and diabetes. So he wanted to increase that number, sent Chuck out to the local farmers trying to get the B and C lots, the stuff that they wouldn't go to market with, and give that to Feed More. Well, trying to get all the local farmers to play together nicely is not the easiest task in the world, but what they did come across was a small hydroponic facility that was outproducing the large-scale farm next to it, doing it year-round. Light bulb went off with Chuck. They ran down a rabbit hole with this business model. And as Chuck, John, and Doug will tell you, they're three old guys. They don't know how to run a business. So that's when I got the call in to do it. And, I don't know if it was successful or not, but that's where we are today.
Well, it sounds like it was successful. So
we think so.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about the product. You guys carry three different
we have
products?
3 different products. We have our kind of main product, which is our essential green leaf. That's kind of the base product of all of our products. Then we also have our vibrant greens blend, which is kind of a modern take on spring mix. It's green leaf, red leaf, and arugula in there. And then our third product is our refreshing romaine blend, and that is our green leaf blended with some red leaf romaine. All 3 are probably the freshest produce you'll find anywhere. And the reason that this works is a majority of our food supply when it comes to fresh produce are based in the West Coast in traditional agricultural land that was built in the 20s and 30s. Well, the world's evolved, weather patterns have changed. Supply has become erratic along with the weather patterns. It's also both of these 2 main farm communities in Salinas County, California, and Yuma, Arizona are natural resource deprived right now. There's limited water resources, especially in Arizona. They're trying to figure out if they're going to give water to the population or give water to the crops. So this model really works because people have a want for local. They want to have a connection with their food. We're able to do that, but we're able to do that on scale. We're able to bring those fresh produce to them. The typical shelf life out of a traditional lettuce is 12 days from harvest. It spends a day in processing, 3 days on the road, another day in distribution. So by the time it hits the shelf, it's got 5-6 days left in it. Our product has an 18 to 21 day shelf life, and we've eliminated the logistics. The reason we kind of targeted this crop was it had the highest waste factor in the produce category. So it was the number 1, number 2 seller. So we knew that there was a market there, but we could also solve a problem for the retailers and the food service customers that we could give them extended shelf life with product that was there. 30% of the product would go to waste in some fashion, would expire or not be bought. And we could help them increase their business margins, and we can increase our business margins along the way.
Well, I've got a million questions. I'm going to try to remember them all.
That's fine.
Thank you for listening to America's Healthiest City on Mike King Biz Radio Network.
You're listening to America's Healthiest City. Today, we have Carl Gupton from Greenswell Growers in the studio, and we're talking about greenhouse grown, and we're talking about sustainability. I'm really excited about this. I don't think that consumers demand local just because it's local. They understand that there is a green factor to that, pun intended. Let's talk a little bit about, the shelf life thing is amazing to me. I mean, that's just like stark difference. Everybody knows what it's like to buy something from the store, and a couple days later, you're like, this isn't any good anymore, and it's just frustrating that we've got to throw it away. So that's the waste, I guess, you're talking about. But that logistic burn, that CO2 emissions, tell us a little bit about how you guys kind of got to where you're at and how you're able to deliver that. Is it just because you're close, or is it other factors as well?
No, there's other factors to it. I mean, when you look from the sustainability side to it, there's kind of two different buckets that I look at with it. Is it, good for the environment? Is it good for your business? There's business sustainability and there's environmental sustainability. And the nice thing about our business is we believe it checks both boxes with it. We can do this at a cost level that people can get access to it. It's not, it's not some premium that we're charging with it. We can be competitive with traditional field growers, but we also do it in a methodology that shaves a lot off of the natural resources that are used. We use about 85% less water than traditional farming. As a comment was made earlier, lettuce is made of water. So the less we use in it, the better off we are. And it's become a fairly limited resource out there. So we're able to do that. Then on top of that, our yield per acre is drastic from what you would see in the field. We have an 1.5 acre greenhouse. In that 1.5 acre greenhouse, if you had that same 1.5 acres in the field, you'd yield about 32,000 pounds annually out of the USDA stats. Our greenhouse will yield about 700,000 pounds out of that same square footage. So it's like a 25x of what you would see from traditional farming.
Wow. That's stunning.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, but that's what makes the business work. Is we maximize the efficiency out of that. We also brought over. Europe's about 30 years ahead of us in the hydroponic space and the indoor growing space, especially greenhouses. So we basically brought over best in class from Europe, and whether that's greenhouse design, whether that's the growing system that we use, we're able to really use a proven technology that's new here to the United States as we're developing a customer base with it.
So how about scale? Like demand grows. Are you not using the full capacity of the acreage?
We're using the full capacity of the acreage we have right now. We are looking to expand our facility. We're looking to triple the capacity of our facility in the next year or so. We should be shovels in the ground kind of midsummer-ish with it and operational by kind of mid to late spring of 2025. So, yeah, we also built the facility out. We kind of took a couple different angles with it. We wanted to, one, prove that there was a market there for it. Two, figure out what we did right and what we did wrong, and now analyze those things. But we also built a facility to be able to be expanded. Infrastructure on our packaging and our seeding side to it is scalable to a full 4 acres, which is what we're looking to go to. Great.
Now, you guys are in Goochland. For those listening who aren't familiar with Greater Richmond, us in a whole here in the city. Where's Goochland for listeners?
We're kind of short pump extended, I would say. Our facility actually is adjacent to basically 64 and 288 where it comes in out on the west end of town. We're on the eastern side of Goochland. Goochland basically will reach almost to Charlottesville when you look at kind of the footprint of the county. We're on the eastern side, which is seeing the most growth out of it. Our neighbors are CarMax and Capital One out there.
Hardywood Park.
Hardywood, yeah, exactly. Yeah, very important, very important. So yeah, we can reach, we're in a great spot when it comes to logistics. Trucks can pop on and off the interstate fairly easily. It's not in a very remote spot. So we have access to transportation and a good cross-section of consumer base.
So I'm fascinated by your business model. You talked about the human impact side, talked a little bit about your partnerships. I'm going to talk more about your partnerships because I understand you're heavily involved with Feedmore and maybe there's more to that than I'm aware of. Also Goochland Cares and Goochland High School. So tell us a little bit about how, and I think we understand how you've been motivated to address the sustainability piece, but how do you bring it all together when you think about these community components?
Sure. Well, I mean, first off, we're dependent upon the community buying our product. So we have to be part of that community. They have to They have to be able to attach our name to the community out there. And we think we do a pretty good job of that. Obviously I tell you about the roots with Feed More. Also, in a smaller dose, we have a partnership with Gupton Cares. And I was kind of telling you about this beforehand. It's a very impactful thing that they are doing out at Gupton Cares. They really, we work with them on their food bank, on their I'll call it a micro grocery store that they have right there for the facility for people that are in need. But they go beyond that. It's not just about feeding these people. It's about improving their lifestyle. They look at it as, I said it to you earlier, was they bring in one person that's in need of one thing. Well, there's probably 6 or 7 other things that they're in need with. It goes from, the food side to the thrift store side to clothing. People feel good about themselves. Thrift store, if you ever want to go through a pretty cool thrift store, they have one there. And, you're seeing things on the shelf like Patagonia jackets that are sitting there for people to buy and take. So, somebody in need, it makes them feel good. Then on top of that, they also look at it a holistic approach from health side to it, from dental side to it, to the point, I think they have, hopefully I get this right, they got the woodchuckers the people on the western side of Goochland is much more rural than the eastern side to it. They don't have the short pump sprawl coming their way. These are people that, have run out of firewood to heat their house. And Goochland Cares takes firewood to those people in need and that are running off a wood burning stove in the middle of their house to heat their place. It's a huge impact that we have. We also partner with Goochland County High School. We have an intern every semester from them, part of their career development center that they have there. And it's people using multiple disciplines that may have attachment to agriculture. Obviously, that's where we come from. But they also apply business skills, tech skills, shop skills, culinary skills. They tie all those disciplines together. They do a great job for kids that may not, like you and me, fit the traditional academic kind of trajectory that everybody goes through. That they can come out of high school with a career, making $60,000, $70,000 without the debt load of a college degree on top of it. So it's a neat program.
I'm a big fan of that. In retrospect, after becoming an ad guy, I thought about my high school experience, and all of my electives were creative. I did yearbook, I did newspaper, I did photography, and so I'm very grateful for that forward thinking. And you hear it from our leaders. We need more of this vocational training.
Yeah. When that AC unit breaks in your house, you need somebody to be able to replace it, and those tech centers drive that.
Yeah. So let's transition a little bit to kind of forward thinking. But before we do, for those of you listening, this is America's Healthiest City on ESPN Richmond 106.1, part of the Mike King Biz Media Network. Please take a look at us over on YouTube at America's Healthiest City and Instagram to catch clips from our show and to listen to full episodes. Carl Gupton is in the studio with us today from Greenswell Growers, and we're talking about locally grown greens and all the great things that come along with that. So you are obviously a visionary. You're not doing it alone. We can't do it alone. Yeah. This show is all about bringing people together, sharing ideas. And I'm going to prime you for a question I'm going to ask you later, because we always kind of look for folks to make a recommendation for somebody that we can interview who's making a difference. But before we get to that, I want to give you an opportunity just to maybe tell us a little bit about your forward-thinking vision and how you kind of see this type of innovation playing out in our community in a positive way.
Sure. I'll come at it from a little bit of my economics background. I'm a macroeconomics. I love theories. I love execution on that. The simple mega trends that are out there is our farmlands are shrinking in this country. Our population's growing. That works against us. We can't feed the population at a rate that it's growing at. So we have to come up with creative solutions to it. And we've brought over what we think are those creative solutions. We're one part of it, but we've got to change the food process in our country. You can look at different, like Huberman did a podcast the other day talking about the grocery and the grocery system and the health in there. Like 70% of the products that are sold at a grocery store don't classify as food. So you have to bring those fresh produce to those people. It has to taste good. We have to win that customer back every single time. We've got a theory inside of our place, or it's a little bit of a mantra. It's plants first. And it means that if we focus on the plants and growing the best possible product, we will have those customers back again and again and again. And our business is built upon growing that number with it. So that's what we've looked at. Those are the trends. We think we have a scalable model, both sustainability wise, from both buckets of the sustainability that I talked earlier on, business and environmental.
Well, I can attest to both its beauty and its taste. I've
never thought we'd talk about lettuce with this passion, but I love it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I never thought that I'd spend my life hawking water. And I woke up one day last year and I said, my life has become water. And maybe that's not unusual because so much of our body and so much of our planet is made up of it. So, and your business, obviously is so dependent on that, and you're solving real problems there. So I'm impressed. I want to come take a tour now. And,
come on out.
And find out more about it.
It's really neat. The automation that we have in our facility is unbelievable. It's an 80,000 square foot facility that we run with 16 people. And probably out of that 16 people, 7 of them are on the management side to it. So it's a fully automated facility from seed to your fridge. No human hands actually touch the product. So we take those food safety concerns off of it. One, we're harvesting lettuce, putting it in a package as fast as we can in the perfect environment for that lettuce. But at the same token, food safety is a big concern. You'll hear people, there's a romaine scare from a couple of years ago where the shelves were just emptied because of E. coli. So we're able to, with the process that we use, limit those chances for those kind of contaminations. Most of your contaminations cost from some sort of cross-contamination. Somebody, the water source is downstream from a cattle farm and the water becomes contaminated. That's used to aggregate it. We also don't use any pesticides on our product, which helps extend the shelf life, extend that freshness that goes with it, because we're growing in a controlled environment that the plant's not under the same stress that they would be in a traditional farm setting.
So your choices are obviously making an impact. If you thought about the average Richmonder, anybody in the community, the greater Richmond area, what advice would you have for ways that they could maybe make a difference in their day-to-day?
It's be thoughtful in what you do. Understand that you have a chance to impact the world in different ways, and understand your process, your day-to-day routines, your healthy lifestyle. If you like what you're trying to do here with this is, the eating unhealthy has an impact downstream to our health system. The heart disease and diabetes and things like that have an impact, and it's choices that you made on the front end of, eat the salad instead of the hamburger. I struggle with it personally. I will say I'm a carnivore, but at the same token, have that chicken breast with a salad instead of a side of fries.
Mm-hmm. Well, I can tell you that, at least in my experience, the more healthy foods I eat, the more healthy foods taste better.
Yep.
And then the less I desire sugary foods.
Sugary foods are what's going to take us all down.
Yeah. Well, I watched Fed Up, Katie Couric's documentary years ago, and it changed my whole life. So, so the couple of things, we want to give folks who come onto this program an opportunity. If there's any resource out there that you're looking for, somebody you're trying to connect to that we can facilitate, that you want to share, feel free. If not, if you do have somebody that you'd recommend that we interview and tell their impact story, I'd love to hear that too.
Yeah, and we actually talked on it earlier. One of our partners that we brought in early to help knock the doors down on the retail side to it was the Ukrops family. They had an appreciation for the grocery system, as they owned a grocery store back in the day. They pivoted their business when they sold that to Ukrops M-Style Foods. They're a true partner to the community. We were talking on Rob and the Kickers, how it all ties back together. They want to see other businesses successful in the area that are doing good things, that are part of that community. We grow as a whole. The whole rising tide theory works out. It really does. You make a better community, make a better product, you get it out to the masses, and you create a healthier community with it.
Well, I appreciate that, and I think that there are a number of Ukrops that we can bring into the studio to interview for their impact, and I mean, we have entire wards named after that family.
Exactly.
So we will do the work.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on to the show with us. We're grateful for the impact that you're making, but
Thank
also
you.
the time that you share with our listeners.
No, thank you for everything that you're doing to make Richmond a better place.
Thanks. This was America's Healthiest City on ESPN Richmond 106.1, part of the Mike King Biz Media Network. You can catch this show each week on ESPN or ESPNRichmond.com at 6 a.m. on Thursdays. We'll catch you next time.